Welcome, one and all, to WIP Appeal, where real athletes say real things. We back. This is episode 2, talking about WIP Appeal and beyond. Great to be here with my people, Maritta.
Gang, Coach Rita, what's up?
Indeed, Coach Rita, the coach and community servant, with my boy Coletrane, former D1, now full-time photographer and media professional, the legend Myron Brown, and I'm the journalist, fact finder, and general question asker, Jesse Washington. So, first question of the day, or first topic of the day, we're going to get a little of this football. It's football season. WIP Appeal is a question. Is the WIP Appeal a football conference? Yes or no? And why? Is the WIP Appeal a football league?
Yes.
Said the Hooper. Why?
That's just Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh is football, you know. I think it's changing over time, but traditionally, historically, it's Pittsburgh just football. Yeah. The WIP is football. That's what it's known for.
Yeah.
Yep.
Indeed. Maritta.
I'm inclined to stick beside that. I'm inclined to agree. I think with some of the changes of college sports, I think that basketball has become much more of that conversation. But historically, I think it's been much more of a football conference.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
The key word that Train said was tradition. So really growing up, everyone talked about football, and it's always like, what about basketball? You know, you always think when I was growing up, we played all sports. We didn't just limit to football or baseball or basketball. We played football season, we played football. Baseball season, we played baseball. Basketball season, we played basketball. So now it's more geared towards kids just being dedicated to one sport.
Which I think is sort of detracts from your high school experience. And also as an athlete, if you do different sports, you develop different skills that can apply to your main joint. So I hope that more kids play more, although it's hard because the coaches expect you, if you're going to excel in something, if you're going to pursue it to a college level, which is a focus of ours on WIP Appeal, then you got to, and when the school season ends, you got to go right into this other stuff. So it is. This WIP Appeal is a football conference, and one of the best players in the WIP Appeal is Tikey Hayes out of Aliquippa. He just committed to Penn State University. Coletrane, you have been at most of the Aliquippa games this season, if not all, because the documentary that we're doing on Aliquippa, be checking for that. You've seen what he does. Tell us about Tikey as a player for those of our people who haven't seen him play.
Man, he's just a workhorse, you know. That's all I can really say about it. He's really out there doing everything, both sides of the ball, getting interceptions, making tackles, saving touchdowns, and then scoring touchdowns. I mean, the last game I was at, he could have had 4 touchdowns, but I think 2 of them got called back for holding or penalties or whatnot. So, I mean, he's just balling, and he's only a junior too. So people forget he still has another year after this. But yeah, he's like that.
He is a physical specimen. When I see that guy, Coach Peep Short from Aliquippa said he, quote, Tikey was born to run the rock. And he's got the whole, he looked like Saquon Barkley already, so he's going to Saquon Barkley U. Good luck, to the rest of the season, to Aliquippa and to Tikey, and to all the other teams that are doing their thing. We'll check back in with some football. The topic that I've been waiting to discuss, and is really, I think, one of the purposes of this podcast, is to really check in institutionally on how things are going in the WIP Appeal. And there was big news recently when the Shady Side basketball coach of the girls team, her name is Jonna Burke, she was suspended for a year for recruiting. And so me being the fact finder that I am, I sent an email over to the WIP Appeal. Shout to Ethan Woy, their publicity director, who shared with me a bunch of information that they based their decision to suspend Coach Burke on, including the tweet or the DM or whatever it was that Coach Burke got suspended for. So apparently some parents liked one of her posts or something, and she responded to the parents. Hi, Brian and Sarah. I'm really impressed with Ella. I've seen the highlights she posted and love her athleticism. If you have any interest in Shady Side Academy, I'd love to have the opportunity to talk to you guys about it. And she's out for a year. So
a year? That's a lot.
Suspended for a year.
It was a DM? Or it was like
it was a
Twitter,
social media message.
but it was public. Like,
Doesn't matter. You're not allowed to recruit.
it matters though, because if she's just doing that out on the internet, so all open, and my question is how did they figure that out?
They figured it out because the young lady who Coach Burke said was very athletic played for South Fayette, who has a bunch of ballers themselves, and that coach threw some salt in the game and complained, "Why are you trying to come at my players?" To which I would reply, "Why are your players unhappy where they're at?" But let's get into it. So number one, you are a coach for
Oakland Catholic.
So you're familiar with all these teams and programs,
I
right?
am,
So
yes.
what is your take on the suspension of Coach Burke? Before we dig into deeper for the laws and bylaws and rules about this.
Well, I just want to kind of go back to what Train just said. Like, does it make a difference whether you say it on like the main feed or in the DM? No, right? Because the idea is that you're conducting yourself as a coach with a level of integrity regardless. So is it unfortunate? Yes. But I think you got to be very mindful in the landscape in the world which we live in, where anything you say or do can be captured and repeated accordingly. So if you can't stand beside it, you probably shouldn't do it. Did she mean like, hey, are you going to transfer? We don't know. You'd have to get into the weeds of that. I don't think that was explicitly communicated, but you don't want to leave yourself to a space where you're trying to, parse between what was explicitly said, what was meant, was inferred with some backroom type of shenanigans. Just don't put yourself in that spot.
So it's interesting that recruiting is not permitted, and yet we know that everybody does it. And
Absolutely.
That, everybody does it. And it seems that some schools are really permitted to do it, or they have perfected the rules of being able to do it. And the powers that be, the WIP Appeal and the PIAA turned a blind eye to it because it seems like there's a club to me. And, I was on the WIP Appeal website and I looked at, who are the board members, who runs the WIP Appeal. And it's really all like the superintendents and the principals and the athletic directors of the big schools.
Right.
And so, and what I'm saying here is not a critique of anybody or trying to get anybody in trouble. I think it's just acknowledging what we all know happens, and I don't have a problem with it, but let's take Central Catholic, for example, and their football team. Great football program, right? They got kids on that team going to Michigan, West Virginia, all kinds of other schools. Who wouldn't want to go play there?
Right.
Who wouldn't want to go play there? Lots of kids transfer to Central Catholic to play football, period, point blank.
Do they transfer to go play football, or do they transfer because they believe in the Catholic education that's provided there and the improved quality of education at that particular school?
So why are they traveling 30 miles to get to school?
When there's three other
Catholic schools that they drive past, probably 20 Catholic schools that they might drive past.
You driving, right? So it's legal. So I spent some time in the PIAA website.
Come on, research.
Oh yeah, man. Come on. I'm a fact finder.
Come on.
I'm an information gatherer, fact finder, and a question asker.
Oh.
You know what I'm saying? So before we get into all that though, so the PIAA permits you to transfer for any reason between the 8th and the 9th grade. So recently there's a kid from Aliquippa, Larry Moon Jr., got an offer from Pitt in the 8th grade. He felt that his best opportunity, for his career was to go play at Central Catholic. Shout to Larry Moon Jr., shout to Larry Moon Sr., my dog from the Swickley YMCA. He be helping me out over there sometimes, And so that was cool. Larry Moon Jr. went to Central Catholic for a better football opportunity, which is saying something coming from Aliquippa.
That's a fact.
I got kids I know from, from Quaker Valley who transferred to, and why not? It's a great program. They send kids. What is wrong with that is my question.
Nothing.
So you try to blend in the athletic side of it along with the religious side of it. And for me, what if through his second year he says, you no longer want to be at Central Catholic, I want to go back to where I was. And now you have to justify that move. So I can transfer prior to high school, but once I'm there, I got to stay. Doesn't make any sense.
Right? I'm trapped.
Right.
And what if his family decides we're no longer interested in the Catholic doctrine? I'm not going to stay here. And why does it have to be a reason for me to up and leave?
So that's a great question. I do think that it can't just be the Wild West, right? There's got to be some sort of rules, right? But I think that the rules that they have are old and outdated. And I happen to have some on my handy dandy sheet right here. You know what I'm saying? So from the PIAA rule book. So this is the whole transfer section. So this is how they lead it off. The purpose of this article is to deter transfers, which are motivated by an athletic purpose. So off the rip, the PIAA says it's not cool to transfer in order to have a better athletic opportunity.
Right.
Totally out of touch.
Deter is a strong word.
And also, to me, it's okay if I want to transfer to, say, get a better music program.
Yes.
If I want to transfer for a better drama program, I'm going to go out to Lincoln Park. Well, Lincoln Park's probably not the best example for transfers when it comes to sports and basketball, since they be transferring everybody. But
I was about to say.
You know what I'm saying? So that's not the best example. But you have a great math teacher, and I love this math teacher. I've heard that they're terrific. I'm trying to go to MIT. I'm coming to your school for the math program. But yet, if I have this same desire to pursue collegiate athletics, it's not allowed. So the PIAA then explains, PIAA and its member schools believe that interscholastic athletics has a valuable role in the overall development of the student. Believe further that despite increasing societal pressures to elevate the role of competitive athletics in society, athletics should remain subservient to academics. Students who make decisions as to what school to attend based upon factors relating to athletics defeat this objectives. So my statement is, I believe that is false. That you can make a decision to attend a school based on athletics and still be a great student and still have academics in mind.
Absolutely.
Right.
It's complementary. So what is the PIAA talking about? Like, what's behind all this, do you think?
So here's one thing I think about. It's not a problem when the kid that's transferring that's not that good. You don't hear what I'm saying? You can't go and not play for the other school. It's only when the kid has talent. So it looks just like the collegiate scene now where, they just want to keep you here and put all these stipulations on you simply to try to keep the balance of athletics, with each and every team. Keep it out of parity is what I always say. You want to run all the kids to Central Catholic. Now they're going to be the most dominant school, where those players, if they were at a Stowe Rocks or at a Peabody or a Brashear, that could help, those programs. So it's amazing how it always fits what they want it to fit.
Right.
There you go. Coletrane, when we moved to this area, you were in junior high school, and we moved here from Philly. And I didn't know if you were going to have an opportunity to be a Division I athlete, but I didn't want to rule that out. And so we made sure that the school had both good academics and had a good coach.
Right.
Like, I'm not going to go and you went to Quaker Valley, shout to Coach Mastriani, the man knows what he's doing.
Yep.
We would not have gone somewhere where the program was in shambles, where the coach was bad, where they didn't have any history of knowing what they were doing. Like,
right.
And to me, there's nothing wrong with that. And so I think for the PIAA and by extension the WIP Appeal to have this fantasy that people aren't making decisions based on sports, it just doesn't defeat it. It doesn't make any sense.
Well, I think it's also interesting because there's always this thought process and this terminology about how sports, especially at the collegiate level, but more so in the high school level, sports are the front porch of an institution.
Yep. So
if it's the front porch, that means it's essential to the school. It's essential to team spirit. It's essential to what people know about any particular school. So therefore, it's not subservient. It's not second. In some places, you probably argue it's first, unfortunately, but it's at least equal to. So I think that until we take that lens of they're both important and those resources matter, those people with some know-how in the right spaces matter, I think we're going to continue to have some conflict.
So more from the rule book about athletically motivated transfers. So the PIAA and the WIP Appeal say you can't transfer for sports, and this is how they define transferring for sports. Number one, to gain additional playing time.
How do you know?
Well, say I'm really good, but I'm playing behind somebody. And they got a guy, and he's just better than me. So what is wrong with the kid? I could be a Division I athlete if I get a chance. So I got to go somewhere else to get a chance.
What if that kid's already playing and he's a stud there and just wants to go somewhere else?
That's fine too.
The playing time isn't going to change.
Okay, I'm confused. So when you say getting more playing time, does that equal they were guaranteed additional playing time, or just if they see a spark in minutes, or there's no one comparable to their position at
All
the other
they
school?
say is that if you transfer because you think you can play more at another school, then that's illegal.
Makes
That's
no
it.
sense.
Right. Number two, it's illegal to another athletically motivated transfer, which is not allowed, is to play for a particular school, coach, or team. Man, Coach Rita is the best. I'm in the post. She had a great career. I love Rider University. I want to follow in her footsteps. I want to go to Oakland Catholic and play for Coach Rita. And they got a great education over there. Great. I'm going to graduate, get my degree. I want to be just like Coach Rita when I grow up, and I want to play for you. PIAA says you can't transfer there to do that.
My question is that if a coach wants to up and leave and go to another school,
Back to being like the collegiate scene.
maybe because they get a nice contract over there, get paid. Do they get penalized?
No,
is there
these
any
coaches be
restriction?
moving around all the time.
Exactly. So that gets into the real reason behind why there's these limitations on players and not administrators, coaches.
That is a great point, because the coaches and administrators are given privileges, and the coaches and administrators are given privileges and rights that the athletes and the families don't have.
And they want to retain the power when in reality the athletes hold the power, because with no athletes there would be no entertainment.
Absolutely.
Now we getting down into the nitty gritty.
So here's a thought. I got a thought, not to interject,
Yeah.
but using DeMar Hamlin as the example. He's from McKees Rocks.
Yep.
Should have been at Stowe Rocks, could have been at Stowe Rocks because that's where he lives. Went to Central Catholic. And what if he wanted to transfer back to Stowe Rocks? Now, you're going to punish him because you say it's athletically motivated. But what if he can no longer afford to go to Central Catholic? And the truth is, how did he afford Central Catholic? Coming from McKees Rocks. So you can't tell me you can hold that rule to a T, because there's got to be some exceptions to that rule.
Talk about it.
And for me, DeMar was where he should have been, at Central Catholic. But what if he didn't like it there? You didn't like, anything about it, didn't like the coach. I shouldn't have to stay there.
Now that you brought up, didn't like the coach. Or
the coach didn't like me.
Another prohibition from your friendly PIAA and WIP Appeal is you are not allowed to transfer if, I got so many facts, I'm just getting them all mixed up here. If a student has a problem with a coach or school athletic administration at either a personal or professional level. Now, this is one of the most craziest rules. That's insane. So it assumes, to Coletrane's point, that every coach is in the right.
Exactly.
It assumes that the coach is a good person, he's treating the kid right, and that or she, thank you. And if you have a problem with this coach,
you have to stay.
You have to stay or forfeit a year of your eligibility. I've seen so many crazy situations where kids lose a year on some there was a kid from Hampton, and he was going to one of these private schools. He lived in Hampton, paid taxes in Hampton, came home to go play at Hampton in the district in which he resides, and they sat him out for a year or the playoffs or whatever. I mean, it just makes no sense. So this is, to me, the suspension of this coach, although, in my opinion, she did violate the letter of the law, but the law is totally crazy. It's like people getting arrested for sitting at a lunch counter in the 60s because you're black and you're not allowed to be here. Like, the laws that she's supposedly violating make no sense.
Outdated.
And everyone's breaking those same laws.
And everyone else is
just
breaking
because she said it on social media. And it really was, maybe what if she was just praising the young lady, saying, hey, I like your game. If you ever considered, is it truly recruiting? She didn't go to her house and say, hey, we want you to come to Shady Side Academy. We got a spot for you. That's when you're really talking about recruiting and maybe violating some principles.
Yeah.
So all that said, now, all right, let me calm down. Okay. Have my little rant there. There do need to be some limits, though. So I'm interested in, what do y'all think some of the reasonable, like, recruiting can't get too crazy, like so what are some of the limits, Rita?
I don't know if I have limits per se, but my initial thought there is we're trying to deny the fact that high school athletics looks like college athletics, right? So that we've taken steps down now. We got NIL in Pennsylvania. We have kids transferring. We obviously have some big money and some big names out here. So I think either we're going to take the NCAA approach, or we got to kind of step back and see what's going to work for high school athletics, in the sense that you only get one experience, right? Whether that's college, high school, whatever, you get one. And the idea should be that it's the best experience that the kid could possibly have, right? Emotionally, socially, developmentally, all the things. So what does that look like? I don't know, but I do think in 2023, we probably should be looking to kind of reconsider.
100%.
So they talk about the student athlete. If I'm just a student, I can transfer. I can transfer 5 times in one year.
And most people who are just students do transfer.
They transfer. I don't like it here. I don't like the teachers. I don't like the kids. They transfer. So why is the stipulations any different for the athletes is the question. And it shouldn't be, in my opinion.
Control.
It's a fair point. It goes back to what I was saying earlier, I think, with the just controlling or having control over that aspect. But I don't know.
So who are these people in control, one might wonder? And during some of my adventures on the PIAA website and the WIP Appeal website, at least the WIP Appeal website, you could click on the person and it identifies them by, he's the AD at North Allegheny, he's the superintendent at Peters Township, so on and so forth. You go on the PIAA website and it's just like Dr. Christian Wozniacki, and then that's it. And like, who are you? where are you from? What's your qualifications?
Are there elections for like the PIAA?
I do not know. That's a great question. Are there elections? To be answered on a future episode of WIP Appeal.
Let's get into that.
So we need some more transparency and accountability. I just feel like there's no accountability really. The WIP Appeal does a decent job with the transparency. These hearings where they determine eligibility are open. They got some minutes on the website. They need to do a better job with Ethan. I know you're getting the website popping. Get that going. But I just think that there needs to be more accountability. And what that comes from is the public and the parents, So all you parents out there, if you've been done wrong, if you've been denied eligibility and you deserve it, if you see things happening that shouldn't be happening, you think that the system is not working correctly, speak to your local coach, holler at the WIP Appeal. We'll elevate your voice, and that is the way I think that things can, that some of the changes that you're talking about can get made. So it's not all fight the power here on WIP Appeal, and sometimes there's some strange things going on or interesting things that I honestly can't figure out. We need to talk about that also. And there's quite a situation at Imani Chistian Academy. This is a new entrant into the basketball power wars on the boys' side.
Big wars.
And they got some hoopers over there, right?
They did.
Yeah, a couple of them slipped through the cracks. Some transfers, out.
6'11" gone.
Yeah, gone.
That's rough, man. You go to the States, you figure you're going to have your team back. I'm sure the coach is upset because I done lost 2 of my top players.
But which coach is upset?
Right.
Is it the coach that won the state championship and then was relieved of his or replaced it by the so that's what I'm trying to figure out. So number one, I'm glad to see Imani Chistian, sort of a black-centered school, starting to be on an equal playing field. I'm rocking with it. Bring all the hoopers there. Bring all the football players there. They got a good football team too. Like, that's cool. It's part of the school environment. Shout to Imani Chistian. I am curious though about how, as a coach, Omar Foster, and I'm quoting from the Union Progress newspaper, which is the website of the striking Pittsburgh Post-Gazette reporters. Pittsburgh Post-Gazette is on strike. The owner don't want to give them a living wage, so they have their own organization. Shout to Union Progress.
Skills.
Yeah. Go ahead, man. Pittsburgh Post-Gazette. come up off that money, that health care. You know what I'm saying? So the Union Progress reports Omar Foster, who guided the Saints to their first PIAA title last season, was not retained as the school's coach. Foster was replaced by one of his former assistants, Kyrie Wilson. And shout out to Kyrie. I know the young man. Good dude. You know, but how does that happen? How might that happen?
Why was Coach replaced? We won.
You won
good
states.
to the kids, right?
Yeah.
I'm assuming all things were decent, so how do you get rid of a coach? And stranger things happen. You know, I'll tell you from my experience, and it has nothing to do with the WIP or anything, but I was in Italy my second year, and we were in second place, and we're playing the first place team. And we lost to the first place team on the road by 2 or 3 points. The very next day, our coach got fired. And I'm like, you fired the coach and we're in second place. We lost to the first place team at their gym. Didn't make no sense. So I can see how it happens, but I don't understand.
Did you ever figure out why the coach got fired? Was there
Had no clue. It was probably a player revolt. They didn't like the coach. That's my thinking. And the coach that they brought in, I really didn't like him when he got there. So it was almost like I liked the coach that was there. We were winning. But I guess being in second place wasn't good enough.
So the equivalent of a player revolt at a place like Imani Chistian could be a parent revolt, right? Sometimes a parent. So that's one person. And let me stress, we don't know.
No idea.
We don't know. We're just trying to put some guesses out there at this point, and then maybe we can. There's facts to be had. We might be able to have
Facts
them.
to be found.
Right. Facts to be found.
And you're the fact finder.
I am the fact finder, among other things. And so it could be the parents wasn't rocking with Omar Foster. What are some other? What else?
Could have had some disputes or disagreements with some higher ups in the school system.
Yeah, could be that.
'Cause we know the power that they hold, and with stuff like having a job or I think it could have been that or parents. It's 2 high probabilities.
Could be that.
Yeah, I would say either parents or administrators, but I'm just curious as to what would have transpired during the season that wouldn't have been so egregious that he could continue to coach but then not be returned.
Yeah, there you go.
Now, did he resign or was he fired?
That is always the question, and the good people at the Union Progress said was not retained. So that could mean a lot of things.
Well, because it could also include he might want a little pay raise and say, hey, I'm coaching a team for $6,000. I deserve 10, and they might say, well, we can't give you 10. So
it could
you
be.
Either take what you got and come back, or we'll get someone.
By
else.
the way, while we're on the subject, and those numbers that you put out there is generally what coaches are making. Man, shout to all the coaches, and thank you to all the coaches who really you're obviously not doing it for the money. You're out there devoting your time.
Truly voluntary.
Yeah, man, for our children. And for the community and for the school. So we appreciate all the coaches who basically, do it for very little money. And our kids would not have an opportunity without you. We appreciate y'all. So we're going to have to gather some facts and come back. So people out there, if y'all may know some things about Imani, maybe you're a parent, maybe holler. Drop a note in the comments. We're easy to find on the socials. You know what I mean? Let us know what's up. So, moving on to the next topic. We got the biggest story in sports right now. Okay. All right. So he's challenging this man challenged my
and you're
English.
You're the top dog here. We got?
Yeah, we got. And this is why I can say we got. Because my command of the King's English is so impeccable and so accurate that I'm allowed to break the rules. So, for example.
Okay, I like that. You're allowed.
There you go. When you got the rock, Marlon, were you permitted?
Marlon again?
Oh, my bad. Give me a punch in the shoulder.
Are you
Myron,
kidding me?
Give me a punch in the shoulder.
Marlon again?
That's terrible.
Hey, Train, don't edit that out. Do not edit that out, Train. He called me Marlon again.
Mr. Myron Brown. Mr. Myron Brown. When you got the ball, were you permitted to deviate from the offense if you saw a good scoring opportunity?
I was allowed to do whatever I wanted.
Well,
there is. So I'm
from day one, A1.
Well,
so when it comes to these here English verbs and nouns I'm allowed to do whatever I want. So we got Up next,
I love it.
the biggest story in sports, Deion Sanders at the University of Colorado Buffaloes, roping in all kinds. Coletrane, you ain't watched a football game in years, but you tuning in regularly on Saturdays to see Coach Prime.
Yep.
Why is that? What is it about him that caught your attention?
Well, I think we touched on this last week a little bit, but to go off it, I think honestly seeing them lose and seeing how they react after the loss, it's like makes me sort of even want to watch even more. People forget, people have such, I guess, high expectations of the dude and sort of drag him when he loses, and I think a lot of people like to see him lose, but they're forgetting this is a first year. He's already been pretty successful, had 2 really big wins. Probably doesn't have all the players that he could have got just in that short period of time, getting there and recruiting, bringing people in. So honestly, I think it's just that, and even them losing, how the players react to losing. I know the quarterback has been very just like resilient with the media. I think the media is asking him a lot of questions that they kind of want him to bite on with the like negative answers or maybe bringing people down. But he's just, standing tall, keeping his head high. I think seeing that is very, it's like entertaining in its own way because people love seeing them lose. I think a lot of people want to see him lose. So
Why the hate for Coach Prime? What y'all think?
People don't like when you're great and you let people know that you're great. I think Prime's going to let you know that he's great, if not the greatest. So
it's amazing how it's selective arrogance, that they don't like.
You mean they don't like it when some people are arrogant, but when other people are arrogant.
Yep.
So
Prime, you're not allowed because you're flashy with it. But it's acceptable from this guy, whether it's Saban or
arrogant.
your man down there was at Florida. I can't even think of his name. They fired him. Urban.
Urban Meyer.
They could be flamboyant. They could be arrogant. They could be condescending. And it was okay. No one said anything. So for me, like you mentioned with Train, I haven't watched college football probably since 79, 78 when Dan Marino was at Pitt. And now I'm watching Colorado games. So I'm rooting for the cat because he brings it to the table every single game. Yeah. He makes no excuses. I think he's got those kids well prepared. Yeah. He believes in them, which in turn it causes them to believe in themselves and gives them confidence. So, of course, they're going to struggle a little bit because they were 1-13 last year. Oof. And it's amazing that they got high expectations for that team considering where they came from.
Mm-hmm.
I'd also say there's always this idea that athletes are supposed to be humble, right? Like as if you're not out there working and putting time in, whereas we all know confidence comes from preparation. And you can't tell me that my man's not prepared. Coach Prime is prepared. He has his team prepared. So that's supposed to come with a certain level of confidence. So I would wonder why they wouldn't want that confidence to come forward, right? If student athletes are supposed to be the role models that we, hold them on the pedestal to be, that's supposed to come with some confidence. So our high school athletes can aspire to be as confident, go out in the world and be professionals that are as confident. So I don't know why they want them to be humble.
There's confidence and then there's Prime, though. I mean, he's
fair.
Cocky with it, and he's always backed it up. And for the younger people out there was no badder dude on the football and baseball field than Deion Sanders. I mean, this man,
there's nothing you can say to it.
Nothing you can say.
He's calling his shots and making them.
The man played in an NFL game, got on a helicopter, and went to the major league ballpark and hit a triple for the Braves. I mean, come on, man. Like,
calling
what is
his
that?
shots. That's all I can say about that.
Called up to the Yankees at age 21, hit a home run first game out. Like,
getting it done. What you gonna say to him?
It's wild. Here's an interesting thing to think about before we move on from Colorado. But so he was a senior in college in 1988. 1988, they didn't let brothers play quarterback. Right now, the Deion Sanders in this era, he would have been at QB. He would have been Lamar Jackson, so he wouldn't have been the best cornerback of all time. He would have been one of the best he would have been Mike Vick, he would have been Lamar Jackson. But in '88, Florida State, where Deion went to college, did not have its first black quarterback in history until like 2-3 years later, Charlie Ward.
Right.
So it goes to show part of what he has seen in his career, and now he's coaching. I think that the system is threatened by him coaching there because college football at the top level still has yet to see a black coach win a national championship. Everyone else has done it. Everyone else has seen it. All other sports, but that's there are some plantation-like elements to the college football system, including its concentration of black male labor in the southern regions. But that's a subject for another podcast. Deion, they dropped 2, but they fought hard against USC and didn't get blown out when it looked like they were about to. And they got some more tough games coming up. They're 3-2 right now.
And you mentioned Charlie Ward. You want to talk about another two-way athlete?
Yeah. NBA
went from Heisman football to
Knicks.
NBA.
Yeah.
It's pretty good.
Yeah. Let's do a quick pro basketball, NBA, and W speed round as we get to the close of the podcast. So this is a speed round. Rita, who you got in the WNBA Finals, Aces or Liberty?
I'm going to rock with the Aces.
I'm going with the Aces. I'm going with Grandma at the point, Chelsea Gray.
And then Lady Grandma.
Yo, she...
You call her Lady Grandma?
Yo, but she's killing.
Not Granny.
Can't jump over a stamp.
Not
killing.
Granny Chelsea.
Yeah, I love her game. Her
I
game
can't
is tough.
do it.
I resonate with it. And then Kelsey Plum is a dog. Asia Wilson is just like amazing.
She's that girl.
Should have been the MVP. So you're not rooting for Ionescu and
I got
Stewart?
nothing against Sabrina. I love JJ. I love what Stewie's doing. They got some dogs in New York. I'm not saying they don't.
Yeah.
But I love to see if someone's able to repeat. Right, I think Vegas has embraced that team, embraced that ball club. So I would love to see them get it done twice in a row, just to really solidify that fan base as well.
Yeah, man. Kicks off on Sunday.
There's a little controversy with MVP also.
No question.
Yeah.
Was Wilson? Is that who it was?
Yeah,
Asia Wilson
Asia.
and Breonna Stewart.
Yep.
And Alyssa Thomas was in the
like,
mix
the
too.
votes were skewed somehow.
By do pray tell.
So it looked like, by all accounts, Wilson should have got MVP. And Dawn Staley, when she stands up to speak on your behalf, I think you got to listen. So for me, it's questionable.
They got votes.
They counted them up. I'd be interested to see who voted for who, if that's available. But hopefully Asia will get the ultimate MVP, Finals MVP. Right. Get that, and that's another good thing about the Finals. It's going to be her and they're going to be guarding each other. So we're going to see who the real. Stewart's she's a great player.
I think the MVP should always come from the best team at the end of the day. Regular season, whichever team is the number one seeded team, the MVP should be from that team. And then when you have the playoffs, the MVP should come from the team that won the championship.
Well, what would you call it if the team wouldn't even be in that position without that particular player? Like most impactful? Like what
you can have an MVP from
if I'm a 2, if I'm the number of team 2, right, and I've had had a tremendous year, but we maybe felt a little short.
Like Bron on the Cavs,
2018.
Bron on the Cavs, like they didn't win it, but without him, they're trash.
They're not even in the conversation.
Right. You're valuable to your team, but you're not the most valuable player in the league, because you are valuable to the team. Like when Westbrook,
who are you valuable to?
When Westbrook won his MVP, they weren't the best team. You know what I mean? They struggled in the playoffs that year. So, he had MVP game, but was he the most valuable player? Because if you come from a team that didn't win anything, you didn't win your division, you didn't win the conference, how are you the MVP of what?
I don't know. I think you got to also factor in that just because they won the championship, that could just mean that you have the best team. All around team.
I absolutely agree with that.
And I think that I get what you're saying. I think that the team has to be somewhat successful, at least in my opinion. He can't not make the playoffs and be MVP.
Right. That's insane.
I think. But I feel like if you have a somewhat successful season, like, I mean, what did Russ do that year? They went
Triple
to the
dub.
playoffs?
Yeah.
Yeah, triple double.
No question,
30,
he was
10,
an
and 10.
MVP caliber player.
Yeah.
A little bit of stat
Great
chasing.
numbers.
A little bit of stat chasing, but the numbers don't lie.
But did he stat chase or did he just play every day the same way?
Steven Adams gave him 2 rebounds a game. Steven Adams would box out and let Russ get the rebound. But you still got to go get it.
He went and got him.
But you still got to go get it. Russ is tremendous. Right? All due respect to Russ.
So Steven Adams was that good that he could say, I'm going to let Russ get the rebound that I should go get.
I think Steven Adams
is just a great teammate.
He's
Absolutely.
Great teammate.
Yeah, man. I love that. Pitt in the building. Yeah, man. Great dude. Legend.
They should have paid him more so he could stay another year or two.
Coletrane, when the Bucks with the new duo of Giannis and Dame face the Celtics with the point guard that the Bucks kicked to the curb for Dame, Jrue Holiday, in the Eastern Conference Finals, who will prevail?
That's a good matchup.
I don't know, man. I don't know. I think on paper, I think the better team as of right now is probably. I mean, I won't lie. On paper, it's tough to say because you got I think it depends on Giannis, because Giannis has the potential to be the best player in the NBA.
League. Yep.
I think he has potential to be that. So I think it just depends on that. I'm thinking who's guarding Giannis on the Celtics? Who's guarding Giannis? That's what I'm thinking about.
Porzingis?
Not. It's going to have to be Jalen or Tatum.
Jalen, no shot.
Right.
Jalen's guarding him.
He's too low.
I think it's going to probably have to be Tatum. And I don't know if that's... I don't know. Tatum to me is more of a... He's not a bruiser. He's a finesse, bag type player. And I don't know. I could be wrong, but I think Giannis is... I think Giannis is packing up Tatum. Just too overpowering. But Tatum... I don't know. Tatum is tough.
Who's watching Tatum?
That's what I'm saying. I think it
Giannis.
depends. Yeah, I think Giannis would guard him, but I think it just depends on that matchup. I think if Tatum has a better series, the Celtics win. If Giannis is a better series,
Giannis' mentality is awesome. They asked Giannis the other day, they said, how come you don't be working out with nobody in the offseason? He said, I'm trying to win a championship, and you're you're the reason why I'm not winning a championship. I'm not working out with you.
That's old school.
That's other stuff I say is old school.
It really is.
Yeah, man. Stuff is too
we
friendly.
Weren't friends with cats. I mean, it's smart for business. It's smart for their branding and all that stuff. Yeah. But the truth is, when we step on the hard court, we're playing. I'm out to get you.
I'm not friends with you on a Wednesday morning.
Right. We're not friends. We're friends. The moment we get done playing, we're on the side talking. I want to know how your family's doing. I want to know how Coletrane's doing at school. I want to know how work is. But while we're playing, none of that counts.
Yeah, man. Shout to Giannis. That's the way you do it. What do y'all think about this? Dame up out of there. He's with Milwaukee. It was cold-blooded, the whole Jrue situation.
Y'all didn't see what he said the day before he got traded? The day before he got traded, he said, I'm a Buck for life. I want to be here for the rest of my career. And they traded him.
How did he say that? Oh, wow, that's not right.
Yep.
Yo, he going to be on a mission.
There's no loyalty.
I hope he is, man. I hope he should.
And you know who he's going to be guarding?
Dame.
Yeah.
And Jrue's one of the best guard.
He got them straps. I can't
wait to see that.
Okay.
Hopefully
both teams improved no matter how you look at it. Celtics replaced Marcus Smart with Holiday, and the Bucks replaced Holiday with Dame. I mean, they both improved. Is it drastic improvement? Can't really say until we see what's going on, but it's good improvements.
Jimmy Butler. Hair Media Day.
Goodness.
What's the deal, man? And
I love it.
He just be trolling.
Big troll.
Big troll.
Big troll.
I'm sorry.
Big troll.
Can't do it. Sorry.
In tears.
You don't like it?
Nah.
tears.
Nah, man.
I like it. I think it's funny.
Who plays like that?
But he said, what did he say? Out of bio, like, I got to get in character. It meant it. Like,
he's just trolling.
He did that too well.
But he had the dreads last year.
Saying.
Okay, so what's next? I think next year is going to be
Can we Joe Jerry Curl?
Yes.
80s Jerry Curl. Straight dripping on the media table.
Yes. Unk from Snowfall, Jerry Curl. Yes, that's what I'm talking about.
I can't wait.
All right, shout to Jimmy. So finally, as we wrap up, man, we're going to get on What You On. And what I'm on right now is Lucky Me by Rich Paul. I was fortunate to be able to help Rich write his autobiography. It's in stores on Tuesday, October 10th. You know, I feel like when that book came out, it's published by Jay-Z's Rock Lit imprint, so I felt like I signed to Clutch and The Rock on the same day. So you know, that's what I'm on right now. It's a great book. I think everybody will get something out of it. And lucky me, man. Shout to Rich
awesome.
Paul. Yeah,
That's awesome.
what you on, Myron?
I'm on a couple things.
Yeah.
It's always back to the crew now for me. And the fact that we were able to color coordinate without even communicating. That was pretty good. Did he see? You didn't even notice that, Trey.
I didn't.
The colors all match. It's pretty good. Outside of that, I'm golfing a couple more times this week. The weather's going bad at the end of the week, so golf season's probably coming to an end here on a regular basis. So, but I was fortunate enough to win 2 tournaments this week. That I didn't win 2. I won some money in 2 tournaments. So
Hey.
Are
it was
you
pretty good.
are you a better golfer or basketball player at this point in your life?
Basketball.
Okay.
Okay, yeah, I like that.
Still
That's a good
got it.
answer. Yep,
I
yep,
love it.
yep.
I'll always be better at basketball.
Always.
Absolutely.
There you go. Okay, I like that. Good, because golf isn't a sport. Yeah, I said it.
Yes.
Rita, what you
I
on?
disagree. I disagree.
Yes.
I disagree. Just for the record,
Wow.
I disagree.
It's like I'm not
The
sympathetic.
talent list will say that.
Wow. Egregious. Egregious.
Come on, man. We could shoot some pool, play some
I
golf.
could do that. Oh, that's a sport and golf isn't?
No, that's my point
Whoa.
exactly. You just got me.
Whoa.
Darts, you know what I'm saying? Connect 4. Where do we stop? Yeah, Rita, what you on?
So I'm on the fact that it's our last month of preseason. We have a shootout at the end of the month for Oakland Catholic. That just means we're closer and closer to opening day. So keep working. Keep
Basketball
working.
season coming, yes.
Keep working.
That's what I like.
Young Train, what you on?
Just chilling, man. That's what I'm on.
And we love it.
We
Just
ready to get
chilling.
you out to the gym, Train.
Hey,
Waiting.
man. I still got a couple months left in my retirement
Respect it.
till I
Rita
come
was
back
invited
out.
over the week, so she can't say anything about I didn't get invited.
I
We're
didn't. I
waiting.
just said nothing of the sort.
Yes, indeed. WIP Appeal. We appreciate y'all. Brought to you by the Projects Media. WIP Appeal, where real athletes say real things. Peace.
Peace.